You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Joey! Hey! How you doing, buddy?
Very good, Mike. Thank you so much.
So just a little bit of housekeeping. Welcome to Freedom, Health and Lifestyle. This is episode 101, Manifest in Your Life. And we've got some clips and comments. Clips anyway, and then we're going to comment on them. And of course, look, this show is all about thinking and doing better. That's really what it's about. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Click that notification button, and of course, you'll know when we're on. Usually around about the same time every week. I'm here with my good friend, Joye Click, and you can find him here on facebook.com/joey.unga. He's got some great stuff there, does some great content. He was on TV a couple of weeks ago. Didn't think I saw it, but I did. You know, very impressive joke. And of course, you were in Malaysia there the last couple of weeks on holiday, you know, having a good time, I hope. And it was your birthday, so happy birthday. You know?
Thank you.
Another year wiser, right? Good. Look, I was doing the show last week, and I just pulled some clips off YouTube, and just little clips, just little segments, you know, and I enjoyed it. I thought I'd do it again this week, you know. So I've got a, let me see if I can show this. Okay, so I have, so on TikTok, I came across this channel, Manifest in Your Life. It's got all kinds of different things on it. A lot of fun, and of course, there's a link in the description here that brings you through to this page, which has got some very interesting content on it. And of course, you can buy stuff, thought frequency, the master key, the thought series. There's all kinds of stuff. So, look, go and check them out and give them a follow. I think that's an interesting little thing, especially if you're into personal development, personality development, whatever you want to call it, self-help, whatever you want. Who do you follow, Joe? Do you follow anybody, any content creators?
I follow a lot with Eric Worre podcasts. That's one of my regular go-to podcast or YouTube channel. I also, I look at you every day with your short video, whether you're on the car driving and add value to the people. I really, really like that. And I stalking you through Instagram, YouTube, and also LinkedIn. so thank you for adding value, and whether you are doing by yourself or doing together with me or other people, I'm so grateful that I always look up to you, and knowing that you have a good heart, always want to add value to people's life. And I think that's why you're success with your journey and your business, because you always want to create a new model of your life, and also to make the old one obsolete. And that's the thing that I remember you for, that because you always mention it or remind us. You never change things by fighting the existing reality, but to change something is to build a new model and make the existing model obsolete. And I'm very, very grateful for every time you remind us of that amazing quote by Fuller. And it reminds us that it's so true in life. Sometimes we hold on to the old existing traditional way of doing business, or investing, or self-development. But sometimes we just need to, if things doesn't change, like Bob used to say, remind us from his friend, if your ways doesn't work, why don't you try ours? And why don't you build another new model and try a different model, or model new people, a new system, or a new business model or company. It will change the things in your life. We don't have to hold on to the past, but the past we can all learn from it. But we also can build a new future for us, new success for us in our journey. So, Mike, I take my hat off to you, because even though I'm in a different time zone and we are not able to make the call together, but in my heart and my thoughts, I always with you, and I hope you felt that.
I did, Joey. Yeah, absolutely. And look, sometimes life gets in the way, and you've got to go and do things. Things have to get done. And look, I know for a fact that if you could have been here, you would have been here. That's the only thing that's important. Do you know what I mean? And going back to that quote, I struggled with that for a long time, Joe. Like that quote, to change things, build a new model, to make the old model obsolete. And I'd be asking myself, how do I change my thinking? How do I do that? How do I literally change my thinking? And some of these videos that we're going to watch now is going to kind of touch on these subjects. So if you're like me, and maybe you're struggling and asking yourself that question, how do you change your thinking? Maybe you'll find some answers in here. So look, let's watch the first video. They're only like seconds long, right? So let's have a little look.
Absolutely. And before we go into the video, I noticed that, in your the clothes that we wear, the different. Last week I was enjoying the sunshine in Malaysia and the good food and the weather. But now I'm back to Sydney. It's cold, it's miserable, it's raining and flooding somewhere. So it is what it is. But I think maybe very soon I'll be in another tropical weather island somewhere, maybe back home.
It's true, because now because I forget, because obviously it's we're coming into our summer, or we're in our summer now, and you must be just heading into winter, really, I suppose. I know, yeah. Thank God. Thank God for the Northern Hemisphere in summertime.
Tell me about it. Yeah, enjoy it because winter is always coming with the challenge, and Jim Rohn talk about the season. That's the thing that we can't control: the weather, the season, the seed, the soil. But we can control what we can control. It's ourselves and our belief, and our activity. And what we're doing here is to encourage people to don't focus on what we can't control, like the weather, the season, and the things that happen around the world, and what happened in the news. We can't control that. They're just spreading whatever they want to spread to make attraction and also monetize it. But we are, we can control what we can control is ourselves.
Interesting, Joe, because what you're talking about, and one of these videos is going to touch on it, right? So look, let's get to it because some of this stuff is unreal, right? Let's have a little listen.
Visualize it, but also feel it. Like feel yourself there. Close your eyes, smile to yourself, and feel yourself there. And believe me when I say you can manifest that. I know you think I'm crazy, but it's the joke in life. I'm telling you, it's the joke in life. You can't go to places physically until you go there emotionally and in your mind first. And then once you're there, you're ready. But when you hold on to the negative thoughts, it's like walking around with all this baggage and luggage. Who needs that shit, really?
So that's interesting, right? Because he's talking about, and Bob talks about it. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And he's talking about, visualizing it, feeling it, going there in your mind, go there emotionally. And we talk about it a lot, Joe. It's okay to have this, this goal or this, idea or this vision, but you have to wrap it in emotion. You have to get excited about it, right? And you really have to be in it. And a couple of weeks back we were talking about to live in purpose, and that's what it is. It's to create it in your mind first, and then create it in reality by taking those steps, but you have to get emotionally involved with it, don't you?
Absolutely. And you and I always come across that amazing encouragement from Bob Proctor, and we listen to it every time we start the program, and the end of the program, we play that video, and it's stay with us all the time. No matter where we travel, it's so true. Even when I'm in the plane, I'm grateful and knowing that this is what I always want to do, is to travel. I didn't know how to do it, but because I put my mind into it and I put my energy into it, and I manifest it, like I create the image in my mind. And because I hold that image in my mind, for some reason the universe just attracted those images to me, and I just give it me in a different forms, in a different company, in a different opportunity, whether it's with the army or whether with my company or whether with our business. It's allowed me to, and I just look back and I said, how did I end up in this country? How did I end up in the air in this time during the year? So it's so true. If you can hold it in your head, have it in your head, you already have it in your hand. It might be not going to happen overnight. I have to repeat that, but it will happen over time, and that's why we are doing this, just to encourage our audience and our people that everything in life, it's already here. We just have to appreciate it and acknowledge it, and just go out and get it, because you already have it. It's just waiting for you to make the move, to make the action, and take the action and take the work and activity toward that present or gift you really want in life.
Interesting, Joey, that you say that, right? You say that everything's already here, and we're talking about manifesting your life. That's what we're talking about. So if everything's already here, how do it's then about attracting it to you, right? So in order to do that, you have to think about it first, wrap it in emotion, believe it, act as if it's already done, as we were talking about a moment ago in the video, walk, talk, act like you're already there, and it will manifest around you. It will come into existence through your action. So, look, let's go on to the next one, because some of these are going to get pretty deep, right? So we'll see.
Times it will become so. It really will, because you will be changing your thinking. It'll change your belief about yourself.
Okay.
And when your belief about yourself changes, the way the universe reacts to you will change. When I learned to use my mind for me instead of against me, it made a big difference.
Let's just watch that again, Joe, because I think it relates to what we were just talking about. Let me see.
Enough times it will become so. It really will, because you will be changing your thinking. It'll change your belief about yourself.
Okay.
And when
So when you think about that, Radka, right? We both know Radka. She's a friend of ours. And she's always talking about the I am kind of principle. I am powerful, I am energetic, I am creative, I am this, I am that. And that's what this lady's talking about. It's talking about using your mind, for you as opposed to against you. And because a lot of us would say, I can't do that. I don't have the skills for this. Oh, I don't think I could get a new job, or I don't think I could do this, or I don't think I could do that. Instead of the other stuff, like, I can afford that, right? Even if you can't afford it, say I can afford it. Do you know what I mean? And you're changing your mind. And this is where that quote really comes into its own. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. And that's what we do. The existing reality is, I can't do this. I hate my job. I hate this. I hate that. I hate. Why do I always have to? Why did these things happen to me? Do you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. You have to change the words that you use to start to begin to change your mind. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I when I listen to those, I like this little. First, I like this short video because it's very, very easy to stick in your mind. Short and sweet. We had that phrase all the time, and I just put down my own note. The first thing come to my mind is a lot of people think the mind is the brain, as the physical thing that's inside our head, but it's the activity around our head. And the rest of our body, the mind is the small part, but it's a very powerful part. It's like in the computer, it's called the CPU, the central processing unit of our body, and it's the activity that that make the difference. Whatever activity you attract, whether it's a picture of a nice house or nice holiday destination somewhere, and you just kind of like you remind us, like, emotionally attached. This is what I really want. I want a good, nice house for my family. I want to travel some good places, in not in a freezing winter like in Australia, but it's a nice, warm, tropical island that I can go and relax and stretch and recharge myself. And it's so true. If you don't use it, a lot of people, they use it against themselves. Because they keep telling themselves, I can't do this. I'm not old enough to do that, I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have the money. But if you develop your mind, if you train your mind through learning and reading and listen to podcasts or get mentors or coaching, it will help you to reverse engineer the way you're thinking. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, you start to thinking, how can I achieve that? What sort of income making that I can do? What sort of business that I can do that I will achieve the life that Mike and Joey have? Instead of mourning, complaining, and pointing finger, to my parents or my sibling, to my environment, you just said, how can I achieve that? How can I achieve if Mike and Joey do that? How can I do that? So
it's true.
You're
You're absolutely right.
Different
because I think about it all the time. And when I see successful people who are more successful than you and I, let's say, I remind myself that they put their trousers on the same way as me. They're nothing special, and most successful people, most people who are successful, they're self-made. And if they can do it, I can do it. And that means anybody can do it. So it is these self-doubts and these limiting beliefs that kind of often will hold us back from, having what you want,
So good.
So
good. Love it.
When your belief about yourself changes, the way the universe reacts
When your belief about yourself changes, the way the universe reacts
to you will change.
How mad is that? How mad is that? I heard something the other day, Joe, self-concept, right? I heard Brian Tracy talking about your self-concept. And I thought, I'd never heard it described like that before. How do you, if you were a concept, how would you describe yourself? And this is what it is. You can create a self-concept or create an avatar of yourself, that is this person that you want to become, and ask that person. I was talking to someone the other day and they were talking about starting a business, but they didn't know what business. And I was like, well, if you did know what type of business would it be? And then they started kind of going, oh, well, it would be like this and it'd be like that. And I well, describe how that would work. How would you kind of do it? And before you know it, they're off telling me all about it, and it's going to be like this, and it's going to be like that. And I'm like, well, you really need to write this stuff down and get started. Oh, I don't have any money to do that. I'm like, well, you haven't decided, you haven't started yet. What do you need money for? Do you know what I mean? The money will come, the reward comes after you do the work. It doesn't come first. You have to start. You have to put it out there. You have to set your intention and follow through. So anyway, look. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, Joey.
When I learned to use my mind for me instead of against me, it made a big difference.
Yeah, I love these little clips. You're absolutely right, because they're so easy just to listen to. Like sometimes when I'm driving, I'll just listen to the same one over and over and over again. Do you know what I mean? Just listen to it over and over again. Because sometimes when you hear it the first time, you don't always really understand it. Because some of this stuff you really need, in order for it to penetrate, and get in there as a seed that you were describing earlier on, you need to hear it a few times. And then after hearing it a few times, you start to generate ideas and get ideas about what you've just heard and how you can apply it to yourself. That's how it works for me. I don't know how it works for anybody else. I'm only telling you what works for me. But I enjoy these little clips. I love it when they come on. That's why I follow these, little things, because they're just easy to watch and listen to. And it's better than what you were talking about, the news and the narrative that they're trying to paint all the time. I can't remember when the last time I watched the news. I used to watch it all the time, and now I just don't even bother because it's just depressing. Why would I want to depress myself?
Yeah. And I think, Mike, one of the things that come up to me when we talk about the mind, and what she said there is very powerful. And like you said, we're gonna get deep, and it's so deep because I get to a point now. I already see myself. I'm successful, even though that my net worth is at people look at it. How can you tell yourself you're successful, but we haven't seen the net worth that you were? In myself, I because we've been studying this thing and we talk about it all the time, and we turn on the podcast and we do this live all the time, I get to a point I'm in peace. Not because I already have what I want in life, but I already know that I already success, no matter what. Physical material that I already accumulate in life or already have in my life, I already see myself positive. And every time I talk to a person and invite them to take a look at what we do, and I said to myself, I am so happy and grateful that I share the abundance that I already have and the prosperity that I already have. And it's funny, when I went to Malaysia, our last day, the airbase I went there, the staff, they were inviting us for dinner. and we have a good meal together. And after we eating, they were talking, and I went to the bathroom, and I just came back, and went straight to the reception, and just paid the whole meal. And my colleagues told me on our way back, Joey, I notice you do this not the first time, you do that a lot of time, everywhere I go. And I said to them, and I said to my colleague, I'm so happy and grateful, knowing this is only part of the abundance that God has already blessed me with. And I'm not doing that to impress men or people. I'm doing that to impress the person who already blessed my life, and the person I believe in it. And that's how I live nowadays. Everywhere I go, I see opportunity to bless other people, because I know I already been blessed. I already been successful, because the person I believe in it has already have the abundance and the prosperity for myself. And he doesn't want me to keep it for myself. Everywhere I go, I look for opportunity to share with other people. It's only little bit a drop of honey from the abundance that he already blessed me with. So I'm so grateful that we, that this thing come up, and for me, I'm so happy to talk about it, because and share about it in my experience, because I have been blessed, and I look back in my journey now, knowing that I living in abundance every single day, and no matter where I go, I have an opportunity to share with other people.
It's interesting, Joe, that you give that example. And I think it's an example of you using money as a tool, and not being a slave to money, because that by you doing that, there is more on its way. It's coming. You don't know where it's coming from, but you know that it's coming, because you can't be generous like that, without something coming in return. It's going to come from somewhere. You just don't know where, maybe. And when you were talking, it made me think of, in my mind, it's already done. When you were talking about, being successful and feeling successful. When we started our business, and I would talk to people, certainly when we began franchising, I would sit down with people, and I could literally paint a vision for them, build a picture of how it was going to be and how we were going to do these things. And I would say, look, in my mind, it is already done. There's just a passage of time now that needs to go by before it's in reality. And it literally was. That's just the case, Joey. Because in my mind, that my conviction in what's going to happen is so strong that it can only happen. It can't not happen. So, and even when I think about what we're currently doing, like in my mind, it's already done. There is just a passage of time that needs to go by before it's literally real. And those parts are already starting to come together. So, there's some interesting things going on. But that example that you gave, it just reminded me of money, master v slave, v whatever it is. And it's just a great example for anybody, to give more than you receive. Do you know what I mean? Because the universe does work in a way where it will replace whatever you give away. The universe will replace with much, much more. But you have to be open to it. That's why when you see someone who's a miser, who scrimps and saves and everything else, but yet they're always broke. Because they don't know how to use money in the right ways. Because it's just a tool. Now you know more about this than me, but it just reminded me of that. Very good.
Yeah, so good. It's so good, and I'm very blessed, to be honest, Mike, in my journey. Sharing with my colleague, and he learned something from me. And when we came back, and I said, I don't do it to impress people. I just do it to impress the person who blessed me every single day in my life. And as soon we land in Australia, my bank account just bling 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 from all the transaction, whether from my investment property or the army money transferred to my bank. And I just said to myself, man, maybe I'm not giving enough.
True. It's true. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a listen. We've got Bob up next.
It is, you don't know how much future you've got. What's gone is gone. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Some of you have had divorces. Some of you have probably had bankruptcies. Some of you have had terrible things happen in the past. But what's gone is gone. It's in the past. And to spend your time focusing on the past is to spend the only thing that you've got, and that's what's right here, right now, because the sand never stops running. This is all we've got. And to spend your time now thinking of what happened there is making absolute certain that the future is going to be the same as the past.
Right, give us your thoughts, Joey.
Sorry, Mike. I got distracted. My son just came and I got distracted. I don't mind if you can play that one again, please. So, Mike.
Yeah.
See, the point is, you don't know how much future you've got. What's gone is gone. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Some of you have had divorces. Some of you have probably had bankruptcies. Some of you have had terrible things happen in the past. But what's gone is gone. It's in the past. And to spend your time focusing on the past is to spend the only thing that you've got, and that's what's right here, right now, because the sand never stops running. This is all we've got. And to spend your time now thinking of what happened there is making absolute certain that the future is going to be the same as the past.
Right, go on, give us your thought.
The good old Bob Proctor, eh? First thing come to my mind is the time, and we know time is one of our precious commodity, that we have in life, or a resource or asset that we have in life, and it's up there with oxygen, because no oxygen we can't breathe, we can't live, we can't able to talk to each other, but in our experience in our past, that will remind us how important the time is. It's funny because I was have a communication with my daughter. We went hiking yesterday, and I love taking my kids to something that not only I want to encourage them to go out and challenge themselves. Hiking is not easy, because a different terrain that we have to go. It's cold where we went, and I was driving, and my daughter was said to me, "Dad, I want to join the Air Force, but I didn't tell anyone. I'm just thinking that's the right path for me to do it, because I saw you. You inspire me. You travel a lot of places because of the army, and something in me I wanna." And she said to me, and I said to her, "So, what is your decision?" And she said, "At the moment, I'm working on my physical. I go to the gym. I try to stay fit, so that, and that I'm still young." And she said to me, "I have a lot of time in my day." And I said, I said to myself, "Absolutely, you have a lot of time. But the one thing that if I can share with you," I didn't say it to her, but I said to her, "Time is going very quickly. 1 minute you are 18, tomorrow you'll be 19, and then all of a sudden you realize." So I want to share with her, I want her to waste the time. So I want her to value the time, even though her mind, her youth mind, is thinking, time, I still have a lot of time, And that's why a lot of people, they focus on the past, they focus on the mistake they made, and they said, "Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have enough time to become rich or become successful." But that's the thing that drag us and keep us steady and stand still, because we focus on the thing that we can't control. It's already gone. Whatever is gone and gone. And one quote came to me straight away is, "Let go and let God." And it's come from Bob's book, You Were Born Rich. and it's very powerful, because I think that's why he's very successful, Bob, because a lot of things he did in the past, and he talked about it. He was in the Navy because some of his friends wanted to join the army. He just followed him. He's a follower, so he was a follower. And some people joined the fire department because he thinks it's a good work. It's a good job. He can earn living and also give back to the community. And he joined it, not because he wanted to, but because he just followed his friends. And then he realized later, the time that he got and how important that, and he focused on what he can do best with his time. And I remember he was talking about Earl Nightingale. You can't manage time, but you can manage your activity to be productive, to be useful, to be more valuable to yourself, to your family, to your loved one, and the people around you, and wherever you present. So, for me, this clip here, we are going so deep today, and for some reason, it sparked the flame in me, knowing that it's with us. It's with us, even though Bob is not here anymore. But I think I speak on his behalf and sharing that with our audience. And I hope to remind them, our time is very precious. It's very, very precious. And it's like the mining, whether it's iron or gold, it's not going to be forever. But, and the same with our time. We're not going to live in this world forever. But whatever time we have in life, whatever happened, it's already happened. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. There's a word I used to say with my friends. It is what it is. But what you can do is what ahead of you. And the time you focus on the time that you still have to add value, to give back, to make someone smile or someone inspire, which is help them to look up a little bit better. So focus on what you can control moving forward. Don't focus on what you already done in the past, and because you can't bring it back. When you spill the cup, refill the cup. Don't try to collect the water because it's already in the soil somewhere, and just refill the cup with a new water, and look for people that they need something in life. Maybe they're thirsty to have to taste water or to drink water. And provide them with what you already have in your hand.
Amazing, Joey. Amazing. Yeah. Because I think if you are looking to the past, you want to look to the past for when you've been inspirational, for when you've been inspired. And, I think I talked about this before. The best person to inspire me is me, because I've done things in the past that only I could do. No one else could do them. Otherwise, they would have done them. But they didn't. I did it. Do you know what I mean? And I think so I can inspire myself. But I've also, and I think one of these clips coming up, is going to talk about this. But I've also been an arsehole in the past as well. But I don't focus on that. If I focus on that, I'm going to become more of that. Do you know what I mean? I want to focus on the good things. And we've all got that in us. I get it. But we want to focus on that. We want to focus on that person that we want to become. In fact, there was something really interesting the other day. I was on a call on Tuesday morning, and someone said, someone said something, and I didn't agree with it. They were talking about identity. And then they asked me, they said, well, who are you? And when I thought about it, I thought that's not the right question for me. Because identity, it shifts. Like when I'm here with you, I'm this identity. When I'm with my wife, I'm another identity. When I'm a son with my dad, I'm another identity. And I said, the better question to ask me about my identity is, how am I? Because then I can say, well, I am this. This is me. I'm inspirational. I'm, people love being around me. I can say what my identity or what I want my identity to be. And then I'm thinking in that vein, whereas if you said, well, who are you? It immediately draws you to all the labels that you place on yourself. You know, I'm a business owner, I'm a husband, you know, this, whatever else, you know, all the things that I've done in the past, you know, all start stacking up. And you don't all go to all of the good things. You think, well, you know, like, yeah, you know, I'm a bit of a dick sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I'm a bit of this, I'm a bit of that. You know, whatever. You know, I drink too much. You know, I've got some bad habits. You know, you start thinking about all those things. But they're all back there. They're all behind me. You know, who am I? Is in the future. You know, it's in the now. It's in the present. I want to be that person now. You know, so identity is a challenging one. But look, we'll get onto it. Let's go on to the next video. Otherwise, we'll never get through them. Right.
So good.
Have you ever had an experience where you're thinking about somebody and the telephone rings and it's them? Have you ever had an experience where you phone somebody else and they say, Have you ever had an experience where you're thinking about somebody and the telephone rings and it's them? Have you ever had an experience where you phone somebody else and they say, we were just talking about you? It just leaps into your mind? These are all examples of this law of attraction. The law of attraction is considered by many to be one of the most important laws of human existence. You will always attract to yourself, positive or negative, people and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts. Whatever you're thinking on a continuing basis, you're attracting into your life. You're drawing it into your life like a magnet. That's why it's so important that you keep your thoughts on what you want, keep your thoughts on what you desire, and keep your thoughts off of what you don't want. And by the way, as you advance and develop and become more proficient and more sharp with these methods, the law of attraction will work faster for you and with greater accuracy. So be careful.
Did you hear him? He said, so be careful.
Be careful.
Know? You get what you think about, Joey. Bloody hell.
Be careful. It's so true. It's so true. I couldn't agree more. You know, I remember Bob was talking about the frequency. That's why, you know, you can pick up a telephone from another, this is frequency. That's why we're talking, because, you know, we are on the same frequency. We are on the same link together, you know, and we just amazing. You know, before in the old day, you pick up the old phone, dial the number, and then, you know, the reason why the other person can answer that, because it's the same frequency. Because if you dial a different frequency, you will talk to someone else. Maybe you talk to a beautiful lady somewhere in Australia, not to a Tongan guy like myself. but, you know, it's very simple concept, but very powerful. And I remember watching the movie The Genie in the Bottle. You know, the magic come out when you rub the Aladdin rub the lamp. And you know, it's funny because it's a kind of myth and kind of make up story, but in reality the same thing. The universe or God it's waiting for us to pick up the phone and dial the frequency. Maybe that's why we don't have what we have in life, because we pick up the phone or we don't pick it up at all, and the frequency we dial it's not to God or not to the universe. We dial a different frequency, you know, and what he said is very important. Just be careful, because what frequency you attract to you, or you put yourself into it, you know, don't be surprised if you receive a different frequency, different reward, or different goods, you know, a blessing that you didn't expect in life. So don't make sure you calibrate. That's the word we use a lot in engineering and techno. Is when the machine is not doing the right things or not getting the right value, you need to calibrate it. And to calibrate it, there's a way. You know, there's a tool. There's an environment need to put that device to a certain temperature to put. And it's so true in life. We can tune our frequency by choosing our friend, the right people, choosing the right environment, the right mentor, the right coaching. Otherwise, you keep dialing the same frequency, and that's insanity, because you're dialing the same. The phone is the right number or the right frequency, but it's picking up somewhere else that they don't speak English. They don't understand self-development. They don't understand business. They don't understand business. And I think that's a lesson for me. Maybe that's why a lot of people I talk to I thought that they're in the same frequency with us, but they are not. Their frequencies are different. They don't in the same vibration, and its frequency is like vibration, and the level that we communicate. Maybe we need to calibrate us, our own device, ourselves, to a level that we are aligned with the right people, and they have the right frequency that we're looking. I want to do this. I want to build my own business, but they're just looking or waiting for someone like you and I to come by and just, hey, pick up the phone. I want to share with you something. I want to share with you some opportunity. I want to share with you some blessing, and straight away you connect. And I think it's a lesson for me. It kind of revoked the way I look at myself, and the way I approach, the way I talk to people. Why I got so many no's, even though I try everything that I have, the tools, the technology, the AI, but maybe the frequency, I need to calibrate my frequency to a level that is matched with other people and the right people who want that kind of blessing or gift or opportunity in life.
I love it. When you're talking about, you get so many no's, and like, I think you have to fail more, don't you? The most successful people have just failed more than anybody else, and failure isn't losing. Losing is failing and not trying again. So, like, even in my business, like I had said to my wife Kate, that we fail more than we succeed. Even in our business, we fail. Like, somebody rings up, we send them a quote, they say no. We send them a quote, they say no. This happens multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people say yes too, but we get more no's than yeses. Because we're not right for everybody, and it's not my job to convince them that we're the right thing for them. Our job is to present them with all the information so that they can make an informed decision, and if it's right for them. And we want it to be right for them. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I believe that we are the right business for anybody who wants to use a service like ours. I believe that we are the right option for them. And the only reason why most people say no is because of cost. It might just be outside of their budget. It might just be a little bit too expensive. If they all won the lottery tomorrow, they'd all use us. They would. There wouldn't be a problem with it. So, obviously, and that then comes. But then I also believe that people don't buy what they need. They buy what makes them feel good. So, and that's why, and that's true, because we don't all drive around, in the same car, made of the same color, made of the same brand. We have different choices, and we buy what makes us feel good. Absolutely. So, when you're talking about people saying no to you, I welcome it. I do. I welcome it. I love it. So you want it. You need to, look, to be honest, we're both guys. Saying no to us doesn't hurt us. When you're young, you go to a bar and you say, hey, listen, do you want to dance? No. I didn't not ask anybody ever again, did I?
Yeah. Look at the waiters. The waiter, they come around just, do you want me to refill your schooner or your beers or your wine? And most of the time people say, oh, I'm all right. Yeah. She just go around, come back again, and maybe how many times? And he said, oh, yeah. Can you refill my cup? So it's part of their DNA, the way they train to understand that life doesn't say yes all the time. Yeah. I have peace now, because before I was desperate and I kind of like hitting the wall and kicking my leg and said, what's going on with people? But for me, I just spread the good news, because I know this is the good news. What I have is the good news, and if anyone want to take a look at it, it bless them, because they will see what I see, and then they will move forward and do something for themselves. Not for my benefit, but for them.
Exactly.
For them.
That's so true. Because most people want a better version of themselves. They do. They want a better version of themselves. And what you have to offer and what I have to offer gives someone the opportunity to have a better version of themselves. That's all it does. But they have to want it. You know, if they can't see themselves taking that next step, well, that's on them. It's not on you. You know, and you want someone to commit to a better version of themselves. That's what it is. You know, if you want a better life, you know, I was doing that the other day, you know, like that quote, you know, you never change your life by fighting the existing reality. To change your life, you need to build a new life that makes the old life obsolete. It's really that simple. You know, but that starts with not fighting the existing reality. You have to accept where you are and then start making changes from there. Like if you don't like what you're doing, you know, to be honest, do you know what? When people tell me that they don't like what they're doing, I tell them, well, look, you need to fall in love with it. You need to fall in love with what you're doing. Get better at it. You know, become a valuable member of the organization that you're working in. And if you start loving it, people will start loving you and what you bring. Yeah. And opportunities will arise. And some of those opportunities might be with other companies. But with the attitude that you've got right now, however do you think you're going to move from one position that you're in to a new position that you're in, and bring this attitude with you? How's that going to work?
Absolutely.
You know, it's what you were talking about, Joe. You have to raise your vibration. You know, you might as well do it where you are. It's not going to cost you anything, apart from maybe, you know, you might enjoy things a bit better. You might enjoy life a bit more. What's wrong with that? You know, it's a better version of yourself. Absolutely. What would it be like that if you could come home after a day's work and go, do you know what? You know, that was great today. I really made a difference for some people. Instead of thinking, you know, God, you know, oh my God, everybody, you know, they're always piling it on me. I have to do everything. There's so many other lazy people there. You know, it's not worth it. You know, you might as well put your heart and soul into something if you're going to do it. You know, I was on a call with Heather a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about lessons from her father. And her father she's got a really interesting story. If you ever get a chance to sit and talk to her, you know, get her to tell you about it. It's amazing. And one of the things when she was growing up, her father would like things done in a certain way. You do it right or don't do it at all. And one of her brothers wasn't doing a great job. And so her dad pulled the brother to one side and said, look, you need to make a decision as to whether, you know, you're going to do it properly or you're going to be punished. And I thought, oh my God, talk about, you know, just putting it to you straight. You know, are you going to do it properly or are you going to be punished? You might as well put your heart and soul into it, do something really, really well, because the punishment is you actually punishing yourself. You know, you're punishing yourself, you're holding yourself back. You know, why would you do that to yourself? Because those feelings that you're having on the inside are being shown to the whole world. They are in your attitude, in your mannerisms, in your micro expressions. You know, they're being shown to everybody. People can see them. Whether you think it's internalized, it's not. What's on the inside is shown on the outside. Comes out in your attitude. You know, and your attitude affects everything. It really does. Anyway, listen, I could talk about this stuff all day. Right, let's get on to the next one. You're going to love this one.
Somebody dropped sugar in my coffee. They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. Every day, stand guard at the door of your mind. You decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results.
I love that expression, mental factory, you know, the mind. And this is what you were just talking about a moment ago, Joey, about the people that you surround yourself with, you know, and it doesn't matter. And to be honest, you started off the whole conversation talking about, you know, the media that you take on board, you know, the negative stuff that can be driven in. And it is important, and you do have to protect yourself from it. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I have no doubt what Jim Rohn shared, and it's very important with our mind, because our mind is a beautiful garden. We were born with it, and and we need to look after it, because if we don't look after it, the news will look after it. Our friend gossip will look after it. Our negative friends and uncle and will look after it. And we know what's happened when negativity people and the media and um, um, other medium in life that they can look after without you look after. So it's for me, this is one of the very powerful when it comes to our mind compared to a garden. Build a fence around it, guard it, because it's mostly, and it's so true. As soon I am not careful and let other distraction and other friends ideas, negative ideas into my mind, I felt, I'm not producing the flower that the person who loved me so much, want to come around and enjoy the fragrance, the fruits, because I don't look after it. So it's very important to guard what we have. One of our precious, asset in our body, in our health, is our mind. Whether we do it with a supplement, the great product that we have in our company, and it's very important. A lot of people said, "Oh, I prefer the natural way," and I respect them. But I saw what they eat. They feed their health and their mind with things that it doesn't help them. But anyway, for me, it's very important. All the time, stay alert. Aware what you read, aware what you focus on it, aware what you watch, read, or even the environment, because otherwise the poor garden that it's meant to be beautiful, meant to be abundant and fruitful, it's not gonna produce the beautiful picture or beautiful garden that we supposed to have, so that we can express it in our body, in the way we talk, the way we act, the way we help other people too. So I can't see more of that. For me, it's a learning experience for me tonight. It's a reminder for me to make sure that because I have to admit, Mark, one of the things that I do is I leave my phone, in a doorway, which is it's like a wardrobe next to me, and I realize sometimes the first thing I wake up in the morning is grab my phone and check my email, and sometimes check my social media who watching me, and I realize it's not, I'm not guarding my mind the first thing in the morning. So I swapped it. I put a book next to my word. I put the phone away somewhere in the charging bay or in my office. And then I realized the first thing in the morning I wake up when I'm going to the bathroom is to open the book and read. And I feel good. I feel different, because compared to act and scroll in the morning and you see it, there's not enough people watching your thing. What happened to you? You're depressed. You're depressed. You're unhappy. You're unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why Jim Rohn is so true. It doesn't matter who put the bad seed into your cup or you into your garden, It's matter how you look after the garden, you look after the cup, make sure that no one just, sneak in and just put poison in your cup.
But you see, Joey, that's a great example of you can be the one who's putting the poison in, like you can be the one doing it.
Yeah.
And I loved what you did because, talk about, building a new model, and that's what that new model is all about. It's about those daily habits, those things you do first thing in the morning, because that sets up your day, doesn't it? And sometimes you need to change some of those things, just in the morning to be able to change how your day flows or how it progresses, changing what's important, and look, obviously I'm not as active on social media as you, so those things tend not to worry me so much. But anyway, maybe they will in the future, but I will always remember this. Right, let's listen. Let's watch this last one. Where is it? Here we go.
Secret to truly manifesting what you desire is to heal the beliefs that block those desires.
So if we believe that we are not worthy of something,
It won't happen.
what are we saying about ourselves and what's possible for us?
Most people, I think, are walking through life with beliefs of being unworthy, unlovable, inadequate, not good enough. Maybe they feel worthy in one area of their life, but they're completely blocked in another. And so the areas in our life where we lack that confidence and that clarity and that connection, the places in our life where we don't have that are the places where we have the most wounds. The life you're experiencing is a result of the roles that you play, the parts that you play each and every single day. The world is like this theatrical event that we show up for on a day-to-day basis. And the parts of us that show up are different characters in our life.
It's interesting.
These extreme parts, these addicted parts, these fearful parts. So we're like lots of different actors in the show that is our life.
Thoughts, Joey? That kind of wraps it up for today. But your thoughts there, because that one really touched on almost everything that we were talking about. You know, from identity, from the different how identity shifts. You know, depending on who you're with and what you're doing and things like this. You know, to how those thoughts can hold you back. The experiences from the past, the failures from the past, or, you know, the hurt from the past, maybe if you're in a relationship that went bad, you know, all of these things can affect, you know, what's going to happen to you in the future. In fact, because you are creating your future. You're creating it. You're creating it first. You know, like, let's say when you and I first met, you know, like, let's say if we didn't hit it off, and we ended up having a fight or an argument or something like that and saying some really mean things to one another, you know, the next time, even if we were in a group of people, we'd probably maybe avoid each other and not speak to each other. When the truth is that, you know, if we got to know each other, we'd probably like each other, you know, because we're not that different, you know. I think that most people all want the same things. You know, they want to be happy. They want to be able to, you know, have a family or raise a family. They want to have enough money to be able to take care of their family. That, you know, and they just want to be able to get on and get along and have a good life, you know. But that's not the way the world's set up for people. You know, it's set up for people to struggle.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
And I think from your last phrase, you know, it's meant to be for us to struggle because the growth comes from struggle. If we live in peace, there's no growth in this world. As if we live in, you know, in no growth, which means people doesn't care. But because we struggle, that's why someone was sitting on the floor all the time, and then he struggled. Then he started to think to build a chair, make life more easier. If he didn't struggle, he didn't think. And I think from the beginning of our program, it's all start from the mind, and it's keep coming back to the mind, you know, and whether, you know, with our activity that happen around our mind, and it's also, you know, coming back to the manifesting, you know. And I like how she remind us. It's very important that we keep look after our mind and by manifesting, because that's the way how we healed. When we don't achieve what we strive for and we struggle in life, we need to go back to manifesting to create a new image, create a new health, new life in our mind, so that we feel good, even though we struggle, even though we are faced a lot of challenge in our life, but we feel good knowing I will get there. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen one day because I already have it here. Even though some people, they try to take it off from me, whether it's the news, social media, my negativity friends, or, you know, family members, but I already have it here, and I need.
Hold on a second. What is that? That's a new one. I'm going to use that. My negativity friends. Why is that?
Hey, there are a lot, like Jim Rohn said, there's a lot of them out there, and they're moving a lot. They're moving a lot from places to places.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful. They're waiting for you outside the door.
They always are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, absolutely. You know. But anyway, listen, Joe, I want to get your final thoughts just on that subject of manifesting your life, because, you know, like, you're an impressive guy to me, right? And you really are, because, you know, firstly, you come from, you know, you're an islander, right? Growing up on an island, you know, climbing coconut trees, you know, I'm not saying it's backwards or anything else like this, but, you know, it's not city life. Do you know what I mean? It's a different community, you know, it's just totally different from what most people are used to. Then you kind of move to the big city, you know, and, you know, you've got several jobs, part of the church community and everything else. And then you have this massive adversity in your life, you know, where you find yourself with a health scare. And from there, you literally have done what we're all trying to do, which is turn your life around to do something different, you know. And now you're, you know, a property mogul, you know, you're in the army, you know, you have your other jobs, you know, you're mentoring your kids, you know, even one of your kids is, you're inspiring the people around you to get involved, like your daughter wanting to maybe join the Navy, you know, your son's getting into business with you, building houses and things like this, you know, like, you're an inspiration, Joey. You're an inspiration to me, you know, like, but it took that trigger event that happened in your life for you to, you know, to look at the world differently, look at your world differently and what you could do differently. And, you know, you're an example of someone who is manifesting their life. You know, that's why I look up to you, because, you know, I think, how would Joe look at this problem? Do you know what I mean? So, look, don't forget, go and visit Joey at facebook.com, joey.onga, and watch him kick ass over there. Right, Joey, give us your final thoughts.
Thanks, Mike. I just want to firstly acknowledge you, my friend. You say I inspire you in some way, you know. But to be honest, I know you're a gift to me. Well, you know, since we met and since we know each other, you know, it was meant to be, and we use our the way we're thinking to each other in a very productive way and very uplifting way. And I think that's why we're connecting a long time, even though, you know, I'm off on an army exercise, and, you know, I always remember the person who always with me every weekend. When come to the weekend, I always remember Sunday. This is the day I used to be with Mike. So my friend, I think when my wife said to me, "I love you," I said, "I love you more." And I think tonight, you know, I have to say thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate you more. I love you more. And I thank you for everything that you've done to our podcast, to our program, and stay consistent no matter what. You inspire me in a big, big way. Anyway, we'll come back to the manifesting. Mike, when I grew up, I in my belief, I used to think God created everything in life, especially, you know, the blessing in life, you know, the fortune in life. And for us human, we just have to enjoy it and, you know, blotching, don't do anything, get lazy and do it. But then I develop myself, as I develop myself and I knowing I am part of the creation. And if I need something in life, I have to create it. Because, you know, God already blessed me. When he had decided to put me in this world, he already have a plan for me. And it's a big plan. And it's up for me to go and build that plan that God had given to me. You know, one thing that I don't want to happen to me when I die one day, it's all the dream and all the thought that I was thinking of it and never tried. Whether it's climbing a coconut tree, jumping off a plane, or, you know, jumping off a cliff, or, you know, something like that. I want to look back one day and knowing that all the things that I'm thinking about, whether helping people in the business world, you know, investing, or helping my children, or people in my community, I want to remember as the best in that go out and create it. And not only that I created to impress my creator, but to impress him, that knowing I'm part of the creation. You're not doing all of the job, because that's why. And when one thing that I realized when I start manifesting and creating the life I want, I was struggle. I experienced struggle. I experienced challenge, adversity. But that's the sweet of it. When I got the reward, that's the sweet of it, knowing that it was sweat and tears. It was no's and rejection that I get here. And that's why I want to encourage our audience. Believe in yourself. This thing here that God has put in our head is one of the powerful tools that you ever. It's more powerful than AI. If you use it wisely, if you nourish it and cultivate it daily, with the right food, right environment, right mentor, right people, you will get there. You will get there, because we are part of the abundance that already given to us. We are already part of the prosperity that we meant to be happen to us in our family and our loved ones. So, Mike, thank you very much for tonight. I really, really appreciate everything that you do to reach out to this point here, and also the thing that you brought us today. It's just getting better and better, and I love how you push out to the deep, and the more we get in the deep. Remember, when you fish, you get the fish around the sorrow. It's okay. But when getting into the deep, we start to get the grouper, the nice juicy oily fish, the big snapper. And it's really enjoyable, and I hope our audience are enjoyed like we do, because the friendship and the accountability that we have, for me, it's one of the greatest gifts that I ever have in my journey, and my personal journey, and also my professional journey. So, Mike, thank you very much, and thank you for our audience for listening tonight. And if you're watching this in the replay, please check out my good friend Mike McKillen, all the way from Ireland. On his he's got LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. He's got everything. And
No, I have been having some fun recently. Just because it's all real. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But Joe, do you know what you said was really interesting to me just then? And I wrote it down, and it was ask and you will receive, and sometimes you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And you've said this before, and sometimes that no is what you need to learn from. You need that rejection to learn from. You need that failure to learn from it. So ask and you shall receive, and it's the same as, like if you're in sales, you've got to ask for the sale. If you're selling cars, you've got to ask someone, do they want to buy it? It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. If you want to go on a date, you have to ask somebody out on a date. You've got to ask. You've got to ask. Ask and you will receive, So, look, I get it. Brilliant. Listen, look, my name is Mick McQuillan. And, of course, you have been watching Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, FHL, episode 101, Manifesting Your Life, comments and clips. And, again, go to TikTok and you can find this website, Manifesting Your Life. And again, there's a whole bunch of little clips and everything else. A great way to start your day. Do you know what I mean? With positivity, why not? But look, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click that notification button, and you'll learn when we're on, usually around about the same time every week. And of course, when you're on Joey's channel, or if you're on my channel and you like and subscribe, click that notification button, then you'll see all the little posts that we put up maybe through the week. And hopefully they can inspire you to change something in your life, to make your life better, to become a better version of yourself. That's what we all want. We all want to become a better version of ourselves, but that starts now, starts in the moment. It doesn't start tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to become a better version of myself next week. No, it starts now. Next week never comes. Tomorrow never comes. All you've got is now. You've only got today. So look, I would encourage you to do something about that now, and don't wait. Reach out to Joey, reach out to me. And let's see if we can help you do something different. That's all it's about. Doing something different, making your life better. All right, listen, I'm going to play out with my favorite video. I love this video. Everything's in it. Like literally everything. You could spend a whole year just studying this video, right? and it will just make a difference in your life. Right. See you next week.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. Now we say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.